Hello, Abraham. This is a distinct pleasure.
For us as well.
Thank you. I have a variety of questions here. I'll just pick one. I recognize that I felt like an outsider in my family most of my life. I always look back at what you have to say and want to not ask. But I've noticed in looking back at my history...
What do you mean?
Well, it's like I know what answer you're going to give me, quite possibly, but I still want to ask it. I still have energy around it.
We'll do our best to surprise you.
Okay. Well, I recognize in myself that I've had an energy of failure, disappointment, that I'm going to disappoint, I'm going to fail.
Who are you disappointing? This is the question that is really worth answering, because as you answer that question, you're going to get over it today. Who?
Well, I would say in many cases it's me. I've failed what I could have done, would have done. Things that I started and then couldn't complete. I get immobilized by my own fear of failure or my belief in failure.
But what we want you to hear, because we can feel it so powerfully, is that we do not believe that it is your concern about not meeting your desire that feels like the failure. We think it is your concern about what other people are expecting from you that is at the heart of your concern about failing. Now, walk through some things with us. So, you say, I think I'll take a walk. And you say, and I'm going for the pleasure of going. I'm going to see some beautiful things, and I'm going to feel good in my body. I think I'm going to take a walk. And somebody says, where are you going to go? And you say, well, I know there's a beautiful trail. It goes up into the mountains. It is a walking trail that has been defined by others. I think I will go there. So you start off to go there with the intent of having a wonderful time and feeling good in your body. And then you get an impulse that is different than your original targeted trail. And so you don't follow your first intention to go to that original targeted trail, even though you were going to meet somebody there, let's say, just to make the argument even better. Instead, your impulse to go somewhere else overtakes you in such a powerful way that you don't go to the planned trail, you go someplace else that you have not been before, and you discover things that you didn't even know were in the area. You see new plants blooming that you didn't know were in the area. You see waterfalls that you did not know were there. And you meet some wonderful person that is so uplifting and nice to be with. And in reality, according to your first intention, you have failed that goal because you did not go where you said you were going to go. You didn't even meet up with who you said you were going to meet up with. But you satisfied some other criteria that we think often you forget to satisfy. And that is, did I do what felt good to me? Did I follow my impulses? Often, when you diverged from the goal that you thought was the goal, you were satisfying some other vibrational intent, you see. That's what we mean when we say there are no wrong paths. And when you are deliberately trying to find what feels good, you may find yourselves on all kinds of different paths than what you thought you were intending. In physical terms, you all say something that we like very much. You say, be careful what you wish for because you might get it. Or you say, be careful what you think about because you might get it. And we like to say, in the same idea, the universe has endless ways to satisfy your intentions, and the universe knows even better than you do what you're asking for. In other words, those goals you think you're setting are really inferior in comparison to the stream of rockets of desires that have been blasting out of you preference by preference by preference by preference. You do not have to sit down and write out a goal statement in order for the universe to know who you are and what you're reaching for. When someone is rude to you, you launch an intention that you'd like to meet nicer people. If you are unkind to someone, you launch intentions that you would like to be more of an uplifter to others. When you are confused, you launch intentions to be clearer. When you don't feel good, you launch intentions to feel better. When you worry about age you launch intentions to know your eternal youthfulness. In other words, you're constantly launching these intentions, and every one of them is valid, and every one of them is encoded with your vibration, and every one of them is held in vibrational escrow, and every one of them is calling you, calling you, calling you. And sometimes what you call diverging from your goal or from your path is at another level going towards something that is calling even stronger, you see. Oh, that was so good. That's why we want you to get in touch with who you are and start reaching for what feels better. Because in the majority of cases, when you say, I'm a failure in that I did not meet my goal, we say, there were goals that you didn't even know you set that were calling you in a stronger fashion. And we would say that you are an abject success. Yes. Hear that and know that. And never again use somebody else's standards. Now, it's something else altogether if you're saying to us, I feel a lot of pain and I don't feel much joy these days. We don't think that's the case. But we want you to realize that connection to source energy doesn't always feel like bouncing off the wall enthusiasm. In fact, sometimes that bouncing off the wall enthusiasm is wanting something you don't quite believe, and that edgy feeling is not the alignment that you really think that it is. Being connected to source energy feels like, oh, that's interesting. Let us say it in another way. Being on your path, being inspired from within, being called from your future self that you have set into motion, that's out there pulsing, waiting for you in vibrational escrow in combination with your inner being and source and God or whatever you want to call it. All of that summoning feels like, oh, that's interesting, or, oh, maybe I might like to do some of that. Some of that procrastination you feel is even calling of source. Did you hear that? In other words, so often you say, well, I intended to go here, but I couldn't make myself go there. Why not? Because I felt like going over there. Well, what does feeling like going someplace mean? It means you're inspired. And yet, how often do you beat yourself up because you felt like doing something other than what you were supposed to do? We think you're misspeaking your failure. Don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
That's why we offer so many words, wanting to get your attention, to help you to see that so many of the standards that have been placed by society and religions and well-meaning others have rendered you desensitized to the guidance that is coming forth from within. And we just don't want you to disregard that guidance, or worse than that, label it failure or label it procrastination when it isn't. Big difference between what I feel like doing and what I should do. And we can feel many of your goals wrapped up in the shoulds rather than that in what feels good, you see. Mm-hmm. And don't misunderstand us. It feels good to have success in all subjects. But we would let the true measure of success be, how good do I feel? Not how much have I accomplished by other standards, not how big is the pile of money that I have stashed somewhere, not how big is my house or how many toys or tools do I have in my workshop. We would let the measure of success be, how easily and quickly can I bring myself from this moment to the next into a place of adoring my life experience here and now? How easily can I relax into accepting the goodness of my being? And therefore the gifts that flow. As Jerry and Esther came down on the elevator just now, there was a beautiful little girl, about 6 or 7 years old, perched at the edge of the stream, right outside the elevator, enjoying completely what she was focused upon in the water. And Jerry spotted her and said, almost gasped it. He had just sort of flooded out of him. How beautiful she is. And what he was beholding was her absolute at oneness with her moment. And as she felt him, she looked up as if he had called her name, and then shied away just a little bit and waved. His notice even of her had distracted her slightly from her oneness with the moment, as someone else wanted to get in on the beauty of her connection, you see. we would like all of you to be able to be like the child that just sits off, unaware and uncaring really of how anyone else is feeling about whatever you are doing. We want you to relate, to come into that oneness with your moment. And when we say all of your power is in the now, we're talking about the power to connect with that source energy. We're not talking about the power to connect with the source energy so that you can make something happen with it. You can't stop from making things happen with it. We're talking about experiencing the pleasure of being at one with the energy. People often think that when they connect with Source, that then they'll take that power and they'll heal someone with it, or they'll take that power and they'll create an empire, or they'll take that power and they'll change the world in some way. And what we want you to understand is that when you are at one with that power, the sensation of making something happen dissolves, because you know you don't have to make things happen. Individual energies all over the world are calling for this source energy, and things are happening. You don't have to direct it to make things happen. You only ever direct it for the pleasure of directing it. You get that? That means you cannot fail, because there was nothing that you were ever supposed to do with it anyway. So when you talk about failure, you must only be talking about the difference between what you intended to do and what you're doing with the energy. And we think there's been quite a bit of confusion, not just with you, but with a lot of people, about what you're supposed to do with the energy. You're supposed to let it bathe you, you're supposed to let it soothe you, you're supposed to let it feed you, you're supposed to let it give you life. We want you to focus in a way that allows the energy to flow, so that your food will taste better when you eat it, and so that your lovemaking will feel better when you make it, and so that your smiles will be more real when you offer them, and so that your body will feel better in its skin, and so that you will enjoy your time in this physical experience to the utmost, not because this time-space reality needs you to focus and make something happen. Creation is happening. Your work is to become one with the energy and enjoy the moment of creation. Oh, friends, you did not come here to improve things. Things cannot help but improve. You didn't come here to fix things that are broken. Nothing is broken. Have you ever gone on a vacation? And so they say, where are you going? And you say, I'm going to Alaska. And they say, why are you going? And you say, Alaska needs me. You don't say that. You say, oh, I'm hoping to see something that will turn me inside out. I want to go feel the deliciousness of the air, and I want to see things I haven't seen before. And I want to see new creatures moving around in their natural environment. I want to feel the way that I think I will feel when I go there. And that's exactly the intention that you had when you came forth into this body. You didn't come because Earth needs you, or because time-space reality needs you, or because there are goals that you need to set and hoops that you need to jump through and rungs of the ladder that you need to climb in order to prove to somebody else that you suffered enough to deserve not suffering anymore. You came forth for the sheer joy of being alive in an environment that makes you feel even more alive.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So they say, do you have goals? And you say, yes. And they say, what are they? And you say, to feel really good. Do you have goals? Yes. What are they? To be happy. Or, do you have goals? Yes. I want the sweet relief of revenge. But in every case, I want to feel as good as I can feel now. Yes. We always enjoy interacting with you. It is always satisfying to us to see you begin to achieve vibrational alignment with that which has been held in vibrational escrow for you. We like it when you don't need manifestations in order to feel good, but we also enjoy the thrill that you receive in the receiving of manifestation. But we would like you, from this point forward, to see the things that manifest as testimony or evidence of your alignment with the energy that is really you. In other words, Let the alignment be first and foremost, and let everything else be secondary. And it is our promise to you that not only will you have a joyous journey, an eternally joyous journey, but everything that you have ever imagined flows easily and effortlessly into your experience. There is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. But your dominant intent is to be joyful. The doing and the having will come into alignment once you get that one down. There is great love here for you. We are complete.